Take a look around your life. Do you see a graveyard of half-finished projects? You know, the guitar in the corner collecting dust, that website you started coding, or that sudden obsession with jujitsu that, well, lasted about a month. If so, you probably feel this very specific kind of shame. Society has a word for that: chaotic, unfocused, lacking grit. Does that hit close to home? That feeling that you're a bit of an imposter because you just can't seem to pick one single lane and stay in it? You're fascinated by everything, but you feel like you're a master of, well, nothing. And I bet you know this phrase by heart. You might even hear it in your own head when you get that spark of excitement for yet another new hobby. It's the classic put-down for anyone who dares to be a generalist. But here's the thing you probably don't realize. You're only remembering the first half of the quote. The full saying isn't an insult at all. It's a massive compliment. It points to a hidden strength, one that's becoming more and more valuable every single day. So this is what we call the dilettant's dilemma. For basically a century, we've been sold this idea that success means specialization. You know, pick one thing and dig one hole a mile deep. Anything else is just a distraction. But what if that scattered feeling isn't a flaw? What if it's not a bug, but a feature? Psychology is starting to show that it's actually a sign of a highly adaptive nervous system. You're not failing to specialize. Your brain is literally preparing you for a future where being a specialist is actually a huge risk. And that future your brain is preparing for, it's not some far-off sci-fi concept. It's the world we're living in right now. The rules of the game have completely changed. Okay, so think of it like this. For a long time, the world was a kind learning environment. It was like golf. The rules were clear, the field was stable. If you just practiced your swing 10,000 times, you'd get really good. But today, we live in a wicked environment. The rules are constantly changing, often without any warning. What worked yesterday is totally useless tomorrow. This world doesn't reward repetition, it rewards adaptability. And this is where the mindsets really split. The specialist, they have what's called an I-shaped mind. It's incredibly deep, but it's also very narrow. In a wicked world, that's fragile. If their one industry gets disrupted, they're in big trouble. But you, with all those so-called random hobbies, you're building an M-shaped mind, and that is diverse, adaptive, and incredibly robust. Seriously, what you've probably been beating yourself up about your whole life is actually a cognitive superpower. So let's really break down what this M-shaped mind is all about. Now, an M-shaped mind isn't about having a shallow, surface-level knowledge of a bunch of things. No, it's about building multiple, deep pillars of skill. Just picture the letter M. Each of those legs going down is a deep area of expertise. And those arches connecting them, that's your broad bridge of curiosity and experience. This structure is what allows you to do something truly remarkable. In psychology, it's called far transfer. A specialist is great at near transfer. They solve problems they've seen before. But you can take a concept from one world and apply it to a completely different one. And guess what? That is the literal definition of innovation. Okay, I'll give you a real-world example so this isn't so abstract. I heard about a web developer who used to be a beekeeper. On paper, those two things have zero overlap, right? But his experience with bees gave him this deep, intuitive understanding of organic systems and growth cycles. So when he writes code, he doesn't just write lines, he cultivates a code ecosystem. That's far transfer in action. All right, so knowing this is probably a huge relief, but it doesn't solve that immediate problem of feeling burnt out or feeling like you're falling behind while your specialist friends are climbing their career ladders. For that, you need a strategy. And here's the trap that so many of us fall into. We try to build all our pillars at the exact same time. We're trying to learn data science, write a novel, and get a six-pack all in the same month. That is a guaranteed recipe for burnout. The solution is something called serial mastery. You have to start seeing your life in seasons. Maybe your 20s are your season for music and art. You go deep, you obsess. Then, in your 30s, maybe you pivot and learn programming to pay the bills. You didn't quit art, you just finished that season of building. Then later, in your 40s, you can bring them together and synthesize those skills into something nobody has ever seen before. I read this great story about a 53-year-old who finally made peace with this exact thing. He let his programming job be the stable pillar that took care of the finances, and that protected his energy so he could build his other pillars, music, philosophy, game design, on his own time, on nights and weekends. He built his M1 one piece at a time. And all of this builds up to the final and maybe the most powerful piece of the puzzle. It's a concept from evolutionary biology that makes you, well, basically bulletproof. It's your built-in safety net. And that concept is called redundancy. Now, we usually think of redundant as a bad word, right? Like it's inefficient or wasteful. But in nature, redundancy is a strength. It means having multiple copies of a critical system. So if one fails, there's always a backup ready to go. The perfect example of this is the elephant. It's incredibly rare for an elephant to get cancer. Why? Because their DNA has massive redundancy. They have multiple copies of the exact same cancer-fighting gene. And this is where it all clicks into place. Your so-called chaotic interests, your dabbling, those are your extra genes. Every single hobby, every skill you pick up is another layer of redundancy. It is your strategic adaptability. Just think about it. If you're only a software engineer and a new AI comes along and automates your job, you're in trouble. But what if you're a software engineer who also knows electrical wiring from that one summer, and HVAC repair from helping your dad, and you know how to teach English because you did it for a year abroad? You are unbreakable. If one path closes, another one is already open. So I really want you to stop looking at that graveyard of hobbies and feeling shame. Stop seeing it as a monument to your failures or your lack of focus. Because that's not what they were. They were semesters. They were courses in a unique curriculum that you designed for yourself. Each one gave you a new tool, a new lens to see the world through, a new layer of resilience. You were never meant to be just one thing, stuck forever in one narrow little lane. You were built for this wicked, changing world. You were built to be the bridge between worlds that the specialists can't even see.